Right now in our application we have two main entities, and those are activities and timeline items. But the thing is that all the code that manages activities as well as timeline items is located directly inside the root component. So there is no clear separation which code is responsible for managing activities and which code for timeline items. And now, just to group all the related logic responsible for managing activities resource, we're gonna create separate module which we're gonna call activities, and there we're gonna gather all the logic directly related to managing activities resource. And this way we will be able to drastically clean up our main component. So let's get to it. As we can see, there are a bunch of mentions of activities word in our root component. So let's start creating new module for activities resource. Let's create new file activities.js inside the source folder. And now slowly we're gonna start moving all the logic related to activities from app component to our new module activities.js. Let's start with these two imports, generate activities and generate activity select options. We're going to write an import statement for these two pieces of data inside of our activities.js module. We are importing these things from functions module, and to be more specific, both of these things are actually functions. And let's see what else should be moved. And it's of course this activities constant, which holds our array of activities. And along with that, we're going to also move activity select options array, as well as create activity, delete activity, functions. Let's paste them inside the activities module. And finally, one more function that we also have to move is set activity seconds to complete. Let's cut it from here and also paste inside our new module. And of course, since we're going to need all this data and functions inside our root component, we have to export all these things explicitly. Let's add an export keyword in front of every declaration. And the computed function which was previously used inside the app component is no longer used in here, so we need to also move this import in our new module. And another function which is used in here is ref. And now all we need to do in our root component is to actually import all necessary data from activities module. So let's start. Let's create new import statement. And now we're basically going to import all the data and functions we have just moved to this new module. So now one by one, let's write required import statements for functions set activity seconds to complete, for array activity select options, for a couple more functions such as create activity and delete activity, and finally for activities array. And just like that, we were able to make our root component much smaller. And what's most important is that we were able to group all the logic related to managing one specific resource in a separate module. And potentially we have made our life easier when it comes to supporting this project in the future. And now let's just play around with our project a bit and see if there are any errors occurred after doing all that refactoring by moving a lot of logic related to activities into its own module. As we can see, we're still able to do a lot of things we were doing before, including activity creation. So mostly our refactoring was successful. But actually there are a couple of things which do not work as expected yet, because after we add new activities, and then if we take a look at the select box inside the timeline page, we do not actually see that newly created activity sleeping. So this is one problem. Another problem is related to activity deletion. And if now we'll try to delete activity, in the console we see an error saying that timeline items is not defined, and this error is coming from our new module activities.js. So let's take a look inside this module. Specifically inside the function responsible for activity deletion, it is delete activity function, and inside this function we are referencing timeline items array, which is not currently available in this module. And this is why that error is happening. Because as of now this timeline items array is declared inside the app component. So we're gonna figure out how to fix this issue in upcoming lessons.